It's on with Marchese and Buller.
Welcome to the Horror with Marchese and Buller show. This episode we're talking about the new series Chernobyl on what network?
It's HBO.
HBO.
Over here it's on channel in the UK is Sky Atlantic. They take on some of the HBO stuff. They also do the Game of Thrones. Chernobyl. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a 6-part series, I believe, which documents true facts and taking into account the dramatisation of what happened at Chernobyl.
So it's not fiction. It's actual. It's
actually what happened using real life characters, genuine accounts, and factual documentation and information. But it is dramatised in a way. There's a lot of British actors in it. Thankfully, I was quite glad because I was a bit worried about this. They all have English accents, even though they're Russian.
Yeah, that's weird. I was just about to ask you.
They don't put on the Russian accents, which I personally think is a bit of a blessing because they'd just been parody, wouldn't it? If you had an English-speaking TV series that's got like, all right, comrade,
Yeah.
That was a terrible Russian accent. But it starts off the very first episode literally with the moment of the explosion.
Yeah.
What had happened? I believe, from what I can gather, they were doing tests to see what would happen if they reduced the temperatures within the cores or reduced the flow of water through the cores within the nuclear reactor. And it basically went very, very wrong. There was an explosion and a load of nuclear material, radioactive material, went into the air. And the Russian government and the surrounding council and the town and everyone, they just completely almost pretended it hadn't happened. It was just a fire. So, yeah, you had people, we had women, children, babies, stood watching as this thing burns.
Oh my God.
And it's literally snowing radioactive waste on them. I believe the radioactive waste actually travelled as far as like the Scottish Highlands and things like that. It was a big deal. They call it a Category 7 nuclear event, so it's like the worst kind of nuclear event you could get.
How big was the one in Japan?
That was the same. That was a Category 7. There's only ever been 2 Category 7s in peacetime. Like nuclear,
And they were trying to talk that one down as well. I guess you don't want people to freak out, but then again, they should really know.
Yeah,
what's going on.
Some of it was a little bit of ignorance. The guys in the control room were overseen by this. I don't know if it'd be a general or a commandant or something or whatever. I was one of the comrades, and he was in complete denial about it. Even when one of the guys came back from looking directly into the nuclear reactor, and told him with a burning face that it was exploded and it wasn't there anymore. Even when that happened, the guy turned around and said, "Oh no, it's rubbish. Everything's still there. You just saw a bright light," and he was like deluded, absolute delusion.
Yeah,
there's a couple of quite heroic people in there as well. The explosion happened in reactor 4 and right next to it was reactor 3 and that was still active as well, and it still is active now. I believe it was still giving power till about 2000. People still work there. What they did afterwards, this is not in the series yet, so obviously I've only seen the first episode, but what they've done since is they hastily built a concrete bunker over this site, and now they're building a giant dome because the original concrete that they hastily erected is decaying. So this thing is acting like a shield so they can work inside it. But you can only work in there for 40 seconds at a time.
Oh my God.
Because it's so dangerous, absolutely lethal. And I was watching the first episode and I was horrified, man. I thought, this is horrible.
Yeah.
I knew about Chernobyl and I knew about what happened in Japan, but I didn't realise how frightening it is, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
The radiation is absolutely invisible. Sometimes you don't even realise you've been in or around it.
Yeah.
Because your cells. What happens is when you're exposed to a certain level of radiation, you feel a bit odd, and you go away, but the cells in your body continue to die as a result of it. You become radioactive. You go away, and then you get what's radiation sickness, which is basically the inside of your body decaying. And you feel fine for a little while because it's like this period of recovery. But then you just go right downhill and it just kills you. There's also a way, if you get too close to something very radioactive, like there's a piece of material they've called Chernobylite after what had happened. But there's like this melted mass of material inside Core 4 after it exploded, which is all sorts of bits of chemicals and rods and all sorts of stuff. They nickname it the elephant's foot because it looks like a giant elephant's foot. But years ago when it first happened, you literally could not look at it. They also called it like the Medusa stone, because you couldn't look at it, because if you went into the room to look at it, it's instant death.
Wow.
You can't go into the room to look at it. So they had to take photos of it using mirrors and things. They had to like lower a mirror into it and get someone to take a photograph from an angle.
And it wasn't because it was too bright. It was just because being in that room.
Just because it's absolutely lethal being next to this thing. It's horrible what it does to you. And then the secondary and tertiary sort of effects of the radiation of those that survived is also very horrific. You get a lot of stillborns, you get a lot of thyroid cancers and things like that, and deformities in children that you have after that. But a nuclear blast goes off, it's a 30-kilometre radius around it is potentially lethal.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but near us there's a Sellafield power plant, and I think that must be about 30 kilometres away. So we're right on the edge of it.
I'm close to one too. I think it's called Indian Point. I forgot, but it's pretty close, and they were worried about that as well. That they had to upgrade some of the holders, like you said, they were deteriorating.
The show's very, very good. From what I could see from the first episode, Lisa wasn't very enamoured by it. I don't think it's her kind of thing, but I was absolutely hooked by it, and I thought it was absolutely terrifying. And it inspires a bit. You're thinking, my goodness, the things you could write about this. I don't know if have you heard of Pripyat, the town that's nearby. You can do tours of it now.
My brother-in-law went to that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, that's right near it, and this is where some of this show's set. In Pripyat, so because that's within the range, but it's not as dangerous there now.
Yeah.
But there's a scene in Chernobyl. I mean, it's not been shown yet, but it was in one of the previews for it, like the little trailers at the end of the first episode. And it shows 5 coffins, which I assume the people that were working in the nuclear reactor when it went off. And they're pouring concrete over them, because the coffins are lead lined.
Yeah.
And then cement over their coffins.
Wow.
And that's
keep it contained.
Because you're radioactive.
Yeah. So this movie or this series, 6 parts.
6. I believe it's 6 parts. Might be 5 parts. Each one's an hour long.
Okay.
It might be a little bit longer in the States if there's adverts.
Yeah, I have to check it out. No, if it's on HBO, there's no adverts.
Oh, okay.
But,
of course. Yeah.
What do you think about this? What do you think about nuclear reactors? How things are being covered up or not being covered up? We want to know what you think.
Like and subscribe. And we'll see you
next time.
It's all with Marchese and it's all with Marchese and
What's it called when someone... Hang on, I'm going to have to start again.
Personal, recounts?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
And then they're just pouring coffee... pouring cement over their coffee. Like soon.
Okay. No. Jesus Christ. Wait. Okay. Welcome to the Horror with Marchese and Buller show. This episode we're talking about the new series Chernobyl.
So...
Uh-oh. You froze, Gary. There you go.
Yep. I'd
Pour some coffee on me.
You'd love that.
And you can pour some coffee on me and Gary with subscriptions. So we need subscribers, please. And Gary's looking up. What are you looking up at?
Come on.
And, or as Gary might say, HBO.
HBO. Home box office.
Oh.
Home box office.
Please. And Gary's looking up. What are you looking up at?
Come on. This is my daughter.
What's going on?
Hang on. Can you hear him?
Hello.
Hello.
Why are you talking like that?
What?
I'm English.
I am.
Well, like 27%.
Yeah. Holly's been doing an American pastime today. She's been cheerleading.
Yeah.
Wow.
I came first in a competition.
Very good.
So, yeah, you're a good cheerleader, aren't you? Yeah, very good. Anyway, you go get your drink.
I need to drink it.
Okay. Cool. Yes.
Very good, very good.